Your son made some mistakes. He fell in with bad people. But he was never like them. Not really. He had a good heart. One more thing. You won't have to worry about the Salamancas. Their day is coming. There'll be justice.
Justice?
I'm sorry, my Spanish, justicia, justice.
What you talk about is not justice. What you talk of is revenge. It never ends. My boy is gone.
And we are back again. This is the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. My name is Jibbz and I'm joined by my good friend Ebube. How's it going, Ebube?
Pretty good. Not really time for funning. No, not a lot of time for fun and games around here, but we're doing okay.
Really, that's that's a really, really just amazing segue into what we're talking about today, bro. It is so hot over here, man. I can't even.
It's pretty crazy over here too.
It's
we actually even got a heat warning from the weather service.
Did you?
Yeah, it's like they said that it would feel like upper 30s in degrees Celsius, which is like for everybody in the United States, it's maybe like upwards of 100 degrees, 100 and 110
doesn't matter,
degrees.
man. Fahrenheit is the most idiotic metrics,
I don't know why they choose it.
Scale I've ever heard in my life. It's just so, and that's my weather. My weather rant's done, but it's so dumb.
I don't know why they feel the need to do that.
Fahrenheit.
We're talking like 90 degrees, but
Yeah, man,
they just choose to make it that way for
it's just
no
vibes,
reason.
innit?
But
just choosing what they want and going along with it. But yeah, it's gone up to like 40s, and like today it kind of drizzled a little bit down in the southwest of the United Kingdom. And like I went outside, I was like, oh, I've never been so happy to see rain in my life. And I went outside and it was hot rain.
hot rain.
It was hot
What
rain.
is this, biblical times?
I was like, I've never felt hot rain in my life. So I ran back inside and I was just like, Christ,
My goodness.
this world is literally going to shit. But as you said, no fun and games, man. Today we'll be talking about Better Call Saul, one of like the best TV shows out right now. Season 6, episode 9. The title of the show is called
Fun and games.
Fun and Games. There we go. And it's brutal. But before we get into the episode, please guys, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a comment or leave some hate in our DMs. We appreciate everything. Leave some feedback. If you've got any suggestions, let us know. We're at Popcorn for Dinner at every single social media platform. Let us know how you feel about some episodes. If you've got any ideas for any episodes or anything you want to talk about, give us a shout. And yeah, rate, review, subscribe. We're also on YouTube as well. So if you want to see our, sweaty faces, then go on YouTube. But yeah, enough of that. Let's get into the episode. Fun and Games, directed by Michael Morrison, written by Anne Sherkis. First question, what did you think about the episode, Ebube?
I thought it was a really great illustration of what it means to try and move on. I thought it was very well written. I thought the themes were very sound. I thought that the pacing was great, actually, because what we're really witnessing, which is, I think that's something we realize at the end, what we're witnessing is the development of a mindset, the progression of guilt and the stages of grief. And we're seeing how Kim and Jimmy are dealing with this differently. But I think, at first I thought this was like an episode focused on Gustavo. Then I thought maybe it was focused on Mike a little bit. But then really we see how all these things are building up to open our minds towards specific ideas that actually relate to Kim and what she's feeling. We look at how people
Yeah.
take accountability for actions. There's a lot of accountability in this episode. We see Gus
Yeah.
dodge it. We see Mike embrace it, not
Yeah.
to much avail.
I literally have on here consequences of actions and confronting hard truths with featuring Mike, Jimmy, and Kim.
And Jimmy tries to
That's exactly
he tries to
what I have.
compartmentalize. He tries to sort of gloss over. He's kind of a fake it till you make it guy. But Kim really is very hard on herself. She always has been. So I think she takes things a bit differently, especially when she confesses to Jimmy how she feels she may have had a hand in this. And it didn't even occur to me up until this point how, that idea of she knew that this guy was alive could actually have influenced all of this, because it's all dominoes, right? Everything you do has some kind of consequence.
That was crazy.
Yeah, because if she had said something, they might not have been there, right? So yeah, she prevented the crisis she was hoping to prevent by not telling him. But she created a whole new one, which ended up being worse for a lot of people, especially Howard and his grieving wife, who now will never really get closure, despite the fact that they weren't doing so well at the time that he died.
Exactly. And it's just sort of like how one thing just leads to another, and how everything, there's just a consequence for every action in the show. Yep. And it's just, it was quite brutal when Kim was confessing to Jimmy how they still love each other, right? But
so what?
She needs to go away from. But so what? Exactly. But so what? And how together they're just terrible for each other. And it's sort of mirrored exactly what Chuck, Miguel, Jimmy's brother, would have said in previous seasons, and how everything that Jimmy touches just messes up situations for everybody, and everybody else gets hurt except Jimmy. It's always about Jimmy. It's always about Jimmy. But now it's Saul now. And I just see the whole Kim and Chuck, just the whole, that thing just mirrored each other, man.
Because we've been watching him sort of
done.
We've been seeing the stages of him becoming Saul. But I think in this episode, he finally becomes Saul. And we see what really sends him over the edge. And I guess now we know what's happened to him.
Because this is the last thing. This is the last thing that he cares about. Truly.
Yeah, the only humanity he has remaining.
The only humanity he has left. Exactly. Thanks for that. And it's just gone. And what else is there for him to care about now? All he cares about is just, making money and doing his sleazy type of lawing.
It's crazy because Jimmy is the type of person who, he's been, we've seen how from the time he was a child, especially from, when his dad would give away things to people and then they'd actually rob him. He sort of learned this really extended course in dodging accountability all of his life. So even he spends a lot of time self-blaming, but he doesn't always feel closure or peace with his actions until he has someone else to put that final piece of blame on. So it's almost as if he's always looking for justification. So in this situation, it's like he feels really bad, and he still definitely feels bad even after he becomes Saul. But at the point where Kim says what she says, pointing out that she knew, that's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then I have nothing else. It's like now it's almost as if he feels he has permission to leave all vestiges of good behind, and that's the tragedy there, because we see just the gaudiness of that house, which we're going to see how it gets ransacked later, I'm sure. But now we get to see the real state of that house. I don't think we ever got this much of a glimpse into it in Breaking Bad.
No, I don't think we did. It was just the office, wasn't it?
Yeah, the office. We've seen, I guess, the outside of the house, but looking inside, all of that.
You see the inflatable Statue of Liberty, don't we?
You asked if you were bad for me. That's not it. We are bad for each other.
Kim, don't do this. Kim, please.
Jimmy, I have had the time of my life with you. But we are bad for everyone around us. Other people suffer because of us. Apart, we're okay, but together, we're poison.
No, just tell me what I need to do to change, okay? Just tell me what it is and I'll do it.
Jimmy.
No, Kim, you make me happy. We make each other happy. How can that be bad? I love you.
I love you too. But so what?
I got a text message from one of our Popcorn for Dinner universe hosts, Bankole. He asked, so we should talk about whether the girl that was on his bed was his girlfriend or a prostitute.
Definitely a prostitute.
Definitely a prostitute. Because
She
he handed
literally
out
got
some
paid,
money, didn't
and
he?
he gave her a breakfast bar for the road. So 100% a prostitute.
I am not a big breakfast bar.
Yeah,
guy
I
at
mean,
all.
I think that actually even speaks to his feigned generosity, because there's the generosity of the gesture of offering a breakfast bar, but a breakfast bar really isn't much. If he really wanted to give her something, they would have had a real
No.
breakfast, and he wasn't even paying attention to her. She actually reminded me of a lot of the person who helped them with the Howard scam, the person he kicked out of the car. I wondered if it was the same person at first.
Initially, I thought it was like the same person, but the faces look quite different. He's definitely a regular though, because I mean the way she was acting was
It's a little bit of a time skip. I mean, we can even see that his hair has become the way it was in Saul, which is something I was wondering about. I was like, how did he lose so much hair in Breaking Bad? But like, yeah, I guess we're now seeing that difference. So I'd be interested to know how much time has passed in those, like, between that last scene with Kim and that final scene of the episode where we go through, his morning routine as Saul.
How did you feel about, do I want to call it a time hop between those two scenes?
I guess it sort of answers a lot of questions. I mean, last time we spoke, we talked about how there's so many things left to be addressed in these final episodes, and yet there isn't that much left to be addressed. It's almost as if...
Do you feel like as they're addressing it, it's like solving one problem, answering one problem, but like creating two other problems? Like as we're solving more, we're sort of creating more questions for ourselves.
I think that's what good writers do. You give people enough answers that they feel that their investment is paying off, but then you create new questions so they feel that there's a reason to continue investing. I think that the writers of Severance, which, by the way, thanks to you guys, I did actually go and watch. I finished Severance; it was amazing, and that's definitely what they were doing in the finale of that show. The writer of One Piece, Ichiro Oda, he does the same thing. He's always answering questions and then bringing in new things. So yeah, I know.
First, that was man, that is something else, man. I don't even know.
It was definitely something. I was so impressed. I was like, wow, this is what I've been watching.
Some good TV around, man. Some really good TV
and
around.
It was that was so unsuspecting. I would never have expected all that much from it. I mean, even with this Breaking Bad season, they said that they wrote it to feel like, what was it, 14?
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Better Call Saul. They tend to. I know they wanted it to feel like a continuous set of episodes, and then for reasons that we still don't quite understand, they had to like have that break in the middle. So I feel like if they really wanted to do it as a half season, they probably would have stopped at maybe last week's episode, which is the first one, because this feels like a whole new state of things since we have that time skip and everything. Because as we've been saying, all our questions have been answered. I mean, most of them anyway. We saw what happened to Nacho. We've seen what happened to Howard, and the only thing left was Kim. And literally, they're giving that to us right away, right? So now have they given? I mean, they've given us the general idea. Is like, we don't necessarily know where she's ended up, but we know the state of her relationship with Jimmy. Those are two different things, right?
That was my next question. Is like, does it really matter where she is right now?
I feel like if they chose not to tell us anything about where she is, we would still be fine, because that has essentially given because Kim is a supporting character, and even though she's amazing to watch in the context of the greater narrative that serves to show us the progression of Jimmy to Saul, we've seen where she leaves. It's not enough closure for Kim fans, so I'm tempted to think, because these writers are so creative, that they have something for Kim to do that we're not expecting, that influences something in Breaking Bad somehow that we're not really thinking of. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I thought it was a 1 in a million chance that he'd come for us. I thought he would be caught if he did, and I told myself I was protecting you. But that's not the truth. The real reason I didn't tell you was because I knew what you'd do.
What would I do?
You'd blame yourself You'd fear for me. You'd want us to run and hide until you were sure I was safe. You would pull the plug on the scam and then... we'd break up. And I didn't want that. Because I was having too much fun.
I think, I mean, we have 4 episodes left, so if I was a betting man, I reckon she'd probably be back.
Towards the end,
Just
yeah.
to prove towards the end. Yeah, but it's like, I don't, like, if she's not back, that's fine with me,
Yeah.
I think. Like, what I don't want is, because, like, let's take it back to Breaking Bad, the way Jesse's storyline ended was driving the car really quick and just escaped those fucking Nazi guys. And that was the end. So we're all left to sort of speculate on what happens next. And that was pretty fun. But like that El Camino movie comes out and did not do anything for me at all.
I heard there's so many questions were still left unanswered after El Camino that I never even ended up watching it. I was like, I wasn't sure that I thought it was just going to like make me want more and not give me anything. I was like, okay, I figured out, I told myself I'll watch it after Better Call Saul is done. So we'll see.
Yeah, it did not answer any of my questions. So what I don't want is, I want either she comes back, I trust the writer, she comes back, they resolve the storyline, there we go. Or she doesn't come back and we're left speculating what happened to Kim. It doesn't really matter what happened to Kim. And Gold and Gilligan are probably the sort of people who would be like, we're going to leave it to your imagination, and just like, one hand they're like, yeah, thank you, but
that's very
it's like,
Damon
it would be
Lindelof
nice if I had some closure.
thing to do, but
Exactly. But what I don't want is, in 2 years, we're having a Kim movie.
Oh my goodness.
Kim.
I feel like that would be a bit excessive. But I keep thinking about the words that they've said. That the end of Better Call Saul season 6 will make you see Breaking Bad differently. So I'm kind of hinging on those words. Like everything I'm looking at is sort of filtered through that lens. It's like, okay, how is this serving the beginning of Breaking Bad? Is there going to be some overlap? I was actually even thinking at the end of this episode, Fun and Games, are we now going to see parts of Breaking Bad are we now going to be in the Breaking Bad timeline, seeing parts of the story that had to do with Saul that we didn't see? You know, things he was doing at the time.
Right, I see. Because that's a good point, because there have been sort of reports that Bryan Cranston and the Jesse Pinkman character will be reprising their roles.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be in there. I think they did an official announcement.
They're definitely going to be in there. And actually, I have on here that Gord and Gilligan have said they're resolving everything. And there's like no room for ambiguity. So I think we'll definitely see Kim somewhere.
Good.
Probably working in some school or in a consultancy.
These guys definitely don't do ambiguity.
You know, in the Howard Memorial service, I hate Chem, which is, downsizing and, pretty annoying because a lot of people to lose their jobs. But that scene with Cheryl, Howard's wife, they had like a really frosty relationship. Remember that coffee scene where he made the whole coffee, then she just poured it into her flask, and it was just really this is when you actually start feeling sorry for Howard and stuff, right? Then, she's looking for that closure, right? And it was sort of, Jimmy tried to sort of play out that, he was an addict and everything. Then Kim stepped in and she was a bit more ruthless about it. She was sort of like, if you had been a bit more attentive, you would have probably noticed.
The gaslighting was just expert.
Really gaslighted her, man. Expert. And I was just like, this is...
You would have known, Like after saying everything she said, she goes, yeah, you were his wife. You would have known. Maybe what I saw wasn't anything. And I'm just like, wow, Kim. She's just so good at that. When she wants to lie, she lies.
Really good, man. We sort of have like a little foreshadowing on how, because Mike was talking to Gus, asking how the lawyers were doing, and he was like, they've been even better than we thought, talking to the police. So it sort of gives us a nice glimpse of how they've actually, playing out their cover story and stuff. So yeah, it was sort of like opposite end of the spectrum on how she was really cold in public to Howard's wife, Cheryl, then later on, she's in tears with Jimmy saying she can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Guilt.
It was just guilt, man. What do you think about in the car park, that kiss that she gave to Jimmy?
I think it was sort of a goodbye, especially since he was so confused about it.
Yeah.
At first I was like, is this sort of another example of their specific brand of fun and games? Whenever they pull something off like this, they sort of seal it. It's like there's this kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a delimiting feature of their relationship where like it's almost like a seal it with a kiss type of thing. They tend to get a little bit physical every time they pull something off. But this was a little bit different because there was real, there's a real sense of melancholy in here. And like you could tell that she was sad. You could tell that she was going through something mentally and he was trying to understand it. He was being very optimistic. He tends to be overly optimistic, but it was a little bit different this time because he wasn't believing what he was saying. And I think that's the magic of Jimmy McGill is he convinces himself to believe his lies before anyone else is even able to try and listen to them. That's how he tends to be able to sell his scams. But Kim, she lives and breathes everything that she's putting out. Because she, like, Jimmy has to go through a stage of reconciliation with himself of what he's doing before he actually does it. Whereas Kim kind of makes a decision, she does it, and then she deals with the moral and emotional repercussions later. And I think in this case, those repercussions might be a bit much for her. So much that she's like, we are destroying the world. I need to go. Like, this is bad for everyone.
I can't do this anymore.
Somebody is going, like, I mean, the fact, I don't think they never really thought about where those actions would go. They wanted to just ruin Howard's reputation.
Vibes.
Like, it was literally vibes. But now he's
have
dead.
Fun. She literally said it.
Family is destroyed. People are losing their jobs because the company is going to be downsized and chopped and screwed, essentially. They're going to move downtown. I mean, there is no HHM legacy. We heard Howard a few episodes ago in the first half of the final season talking about HHM's legacy. He talked about his father. He talked about Chuck. And he was telling that guy about, that he is the M in HHM. And, you can tell that Howard still somewhat, because he takes the job so seriously, even when he's being kind of a knob, he is very concerned with HHM's legacy, with his father's legacy, with Chuck's legacy, even more so than his own.
He cares for the company.
And he cares for the clients. But now there's nothing. I mean, now we understand why in Breaking Bad, we never hear about HHM that is clearly so integral to the lives of quite a few characters in the show. And now we understand why that history is somewhat erased or swept under the rug because, those names aren't there anymore. There's something that's always said, I don't know where, I forget exactly where it's from, but it's like you live only as long as the people who remember you. As soon as people stop saying your name, then you've truly died.
Preach, man.
Right. So it's
It's
kind of sad to see because I know a lot of people's lives are going to be changed. And I think that's what's weighing the most on Kim because they didn't just ruin Howard. They ruined, at least a few hundred people.
A lot of people. And it's just like, can she live with that? And as we see, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Let's talk about wine. You wine guy.
Yes, actually, I try to indulge in as cultured of a way as I can whenever I can. I'm
a connoisseur.
I try to be a connoisseur. I'm like, well, if it's gonna be there, I might as well understand whatever I'm like consuming. And it's like there's the dry scale, the sweet scale, and it's just interesting to see what people are able to do.
Wow.
And I mean, depending on the colors,
I just chuck it in my mouth.
That's a good way to go as well. I think that's what the manufacturers intended.
I think now I know, like, I don't really know the difference between like elite wine and good wine, but I know the difference between like really bad wine.
You will definitely feel it.
Not bad wine.
I think what people fail to realize is it's not always about price point. A specifically expensive, dry red wine is not necessarily going to be more expensive than something moderately priced. There's a lot that goes into that kind of stuff. Age is a big factor, though. I'll say
Yeah.
that. So what that dude who was so enthusiastic about wine, what's his name, David, was telling Gus, geez,
David,
I mean,
yeah.
he wasn't just selling that wine; he was living and breathing that stuff.
You could tell like his life is literally
Yeah,
work and wine. That's what
I guess that's what it is. You go backpacking, and then you develop a love for wine. You come back to New Mexico, and that becomes your life. So
Gus won.
basically,
Gus
for now.
won.
I don't know if something else is going to
now.
come and threaten him, but definitely Hector Salamanca seems to have been neutered for the time being. It seems if you told
For
me
the
this
time
was the
being, yeah.
closure of the Lalo situation and everything is fine for Gus, I guess I would believe you. I sometimes wonder why at the end of Breaking Bad he killed Juan Bolsa, because Bolsa did not necessarily seem to be in a state of animosity with Gus. I sometimes wonder maybe he killed him just because, well, I have to kill this guy too, because why leave him alive? Because he's connected to everything.
Just take out the possibility.
Essentially, yeah. But because I didn't really think that they disliked each other. But maybe Gus does have a bone to pick with Bolsa as well, since he's been sent there to be his handler despite everything. I think there's like a subtle hint of prejudice there. Like they call him the chicken man and everything. Probably because of the chicken, he's not one of them. Yeah, because he's like
the only non-Mexican, isn't he?
The fact that he's black.
He's from the
It's
South.
just like, it's a lot of stuff. And
plus he probably has like, just like you mentioned, animosity against, because he killed his partner, didn't they?
Yes. But
you see that in the Breaking Bad.
That's why he hates Don Eladio, because, I mean, they essentially had to rip off Don Eladio a little bit to get his attention, to get that meeting. And then he gives them what they wanted.
Yeah.
But then he's like, because you ripped me off to get here, I'm actually going to kill one of you. And Hector Salamanca is the one who pulled that trigger. That's why he has a special bone to pick with Hector, because he laughed and he enjoyed that. And he watches his partner's blood drain into that pool. I mean, he looked into that pool again today. Like, it's not just a situation of reflection. That's why he's so reverent of that pool whenever he's in that place, because he remembers. He thinks about it every moment.
Tough memory. So, which reminds me, which leads me to the wine, goes into the bar. So, I'm guessing that him and David probably had some kind of relationship.
Potentially, yeah. It crossed my mind. I wondered if there was something there. I wondered if it was just sort of a friendship, or if it was a romantic thing,
or was it just
or if
friendship?
it was a partnership of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe they were in business at one point.
Yeah.
Maybe Gus is sort of an investor in that place. Or maybe he's just, one of the resident rich guys of town that just frequents a place like that.
Yeah.
It could be all kinds of things. I mean, even the way he was dressed was different. I mean, he was wearing his suit, but he was wearing like a V-neck t-shirt inside.
He was very chill.
We've never really seen him like that.
That's how I dress Friday nights and stuff.
He looked like, I mean, we've seen what Gus looks like when he's going to just chill, which isn't something we really see a lot. I mean, he didn't stay long. I am kind of wondering what the real purpose of that scene was, like why he went there, but maybe that's something that'll become clearer later. Or maybe it was just there to give us a glimpse of what he's like when he's trying to chill, but then remembers, I can't chill because I have people to take vengeance on, and then he leaves. So
it's like, I still have some people on my list that I need to take out.
Yep.
But it's pretty, I mean, he sort of goes, because I had that conversation with Mike at the start of the episode, and it's like, there's this idea of Gus Fring as corporate, sort of corporate.
Man as corporation, for sure.
To the plan, man as corporation all the time. And it's like, because you can see that Mike, we'll get to Mike later, but Mike is definitely still grieving and sort of trying to come to terms of what the fuck just happened. Plus Nacho is still weighing on him and everything. Then Gus is sort of like, we need to, carry on with this meth lab.
How soon can construction resume? And Mike is just like, bro. Mike is like, bro, come on.
Come on, man. And it's just like, we need to keep it going. And it's like, this guy is fucking ruthless.
It's a lot, for sure.
Doesn't wait for nobody, man. That was pretty interesting. But, man, Gus won for now. And it's quite, because I was watching a previous episode of Hector when he wasn't in a wheelchair and everything, and he was a really good actor. And it's just so evil how Gus, he didn't kill him, he put him in I mean, was it vegetative state,
so to speak.
basically.
And he didn't even let
So
it
you can see
improve.
everything
He's
that's
like, "Oh,
going
he's
on.
alive." I was like, "No, we
No,
can
he's
actually fix
alive.
him more." No, it's cool as long as his brain is still working.
That is a special kind of
Yeah,
special kind of evil, man. It's just like you want this guy to be completely disabled for the rest of his life just for you to gloat in him, and it's just, yeah, pretty. Gus, man, what a guy. But Mike.
where do you think he goes from here?
I don't know. I feel because everyone is still, there's still some kind of, because Mike has seen it all. Let's just talk about Mike in this episode. I don't know what to say, because the death of Nacho is still weighing heavily on him. And we spoke about how Jimmy has lost everything that he cares about. And I say the same thing about Mike in this, criminal enterprise, because Mike obviously still has his like sister-in-law and his granddaughter as well. But in this sort of criminal underworld, I guess him and Nacho were the only two people who genuinely kind of liked each other.
It was a mutual respect. I think Mike wanted to be able to. Respect, he couldn't. Yeah. There was a young man, his own son that he couldn't save before, and here is a young man now who wants to be saved. Maybe has a chance to get out, but Gus just wasn't willing to protect him as much as he could have. Gus probably could have protected him a bit more.
No,
but he chose not to, and I think that's one of the reasons Mike is so iffy about Gus these days.
Yeah,
we see the signs,
and we see the episode like brought up the whole paternal. That paternal vibe with Mike and Nacho, right? And it sort of relates to Mike going to Nacho's dad in this episode and trying to give him that closure that he deserves, right? And saying, we're going to take vengeance and
there will be justice.
Nacho's dad is just like,
you guys are all the same.
And justice.
Yeah, like, you guys are all the same.
It's all the same. It's all vengeance. Yeah. Never ends. And it definitely, because it's all just senseless violence, man. And you definitely remember like how, the whole Mike and Walter White, how Mike actually eventually dies due to senseless, stupid violence from Walter.
Gets me every time.
Everything
I'm still not okay with that.
Just gets, that's, because initially, how TV shows or movies, you align yourself, just naturally align yourself with the protagonist of the first person you see, right?
Yeah.
I think then was when I literally started hating Walter when he killed Mike for no reason.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, this guy is not...
He's not our friend.
It's really terrible. He's not our friend. He's not my friend. And he needs to go ASAP. But yeah, man, I feel... I'm quite interested to see what happens to Mike these next couple of episodes. I guess he finds someone to complete the meth lab.
Yeah, I wonder who.
And
I'm actually wondering about that.
I wonder who.
Because the crew that they got was very specifically recruited for that. I mean, they knew the plans. They knew how long it would take. I don't know where they would find anybody else that's specifically suited to do this exact thing.
Yeah.
And continuing where the previous guys left off.
Yeah, I mean, like two of that crew, they're dead now?
Yeah, Werner is dead.
And Lalo killed the other guy.
I forget his name, but yeah.
Oof, what an episode, man. This was like this no fun and games, man. Truly. This was... Because you literally just came out from the episode straight into this podcast. So we're literally getting your raw emotions right now.
Yeah, I watched it literally just a few minutes before coming in here. I wanted to be distraught, and as it turns out, I am. So...
Very, you had that face.
Thank you, Gilligan and Gold.
You're like shit. Speaking of them, apparently the Mike character wasn't originally supposed to be in Breaking Bad. Apparently Mike was supposed to be a combination of, Mike and Saul was supposed to be one character, but apparently Bob Odenkirk couldn't make filming on some day, so they had to write another character, which happened to be Mike.
And it makes so much sense because it creates some nuance, because if Jimmy and Mike were the same guy, then Jimmy is a completely different person who's capable of things that we now know him not to be capable of, or at least not initially. And Mike being so stoic, being so like he has this honor among thieves type of code. Jimmy definitely has that too as Saul, but there's only so far somebody that's an actual lawyer can go. And now we see that he pushes that with the whole, like, you know, you look like a lawyer who guilty people hire type of thing. Now we see that he's literally like put that on his head. It's like, yes, I am. Now hire me. So so now, I mean, if he was doing the things that Mike does, I think it'd be a completely different thing. And it would be very convoluted. At most, maybe he would be the type of person to hire specific people to do what Mike does. But I think there's a real opportunity in creating a character that we can follow, in having someone like Mike just exist rather than having Jimmy contract every single thing. And Mike is an amazing character who we are honestly lucky to have in both shows.
So lucky, man. He's such a good actor as well.
Yeah, gotta love Jonathan
Such
Banks,
a really
man.
good actor. And it's like that sort of person like that. You don't want to mess around with that person. Like anyone who's lived on for that long, just stay away.
Which is why I'm extra gutted every time I remember that he dies from a weak bullet by
freaking Walter White,
of all people.
Guy, man. I think the first time once you rewatch Breaking Bad, you just sort of have this massive.
You just don't like the guy.
I was like, go Walt. I hate Skylar. I hate Hank. I find Marie hilarious.
Walter White light.
But like once you rewatch it, you're like, this is, as we said, not my friend.
This whole thing is a degradation.
And it's like, I guess that's like the brilliance of like the writers. It just makes, because initially, am I supposed to be rooting for this guy? I'm not rooting for this guy. I don't like this guy at all. I guess that's the beauty of
anti-heroes.
Anti-heroes, there we go. Thanks for that. And they did it very well.
I think there's just...
I usually goof on Breaking Bad, but maybe Breaking Bad was...
Yeah, like, because there's just something to be said about a show that shows you something new every time you rewatch it. Like, literally, it's a new experience every time. A lot of time you watch a show and you're kind of just rehashing things you've already seen. You're re-enjoying what you have enjoyed. And when a show can give you that and also give you new perspectives, things that were literally in front of you but you just were not possibly capable of seeing because you didn't have certain pieces of information, that is just, that's masterpiece creation right there. Like the show that does this the best is Attack on Titan. Because with every new season, there's a set of things that you learn that make certain things make more sense than they did before, or maybe even confuse you. Then you go to the beginning of the show and you start watching again. I'm telling you, every single time I watch Attack on Titan, right from the beginning, I'm seeing things that were hidden from me in plain sight. Like the answers were always in front of you. The writing of that show, like it's like nothing I've ever seen. Like the only show that does foreshadowing better is maybe One Piece, and Attack on Titan is kind of crazy because it's asking so many philosophical questions, similar to what Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul do. I think where a show like Westworld is asking questions about the evolution of sin, and I mean, season one of Westworld is like, what would people do?
Season one of Westworld is one of the best.
It's like, what would people do if they knew no one was watching? Season 2 is kind of like, what would they do if they could stay in a state like that forever, or if the chickens suddenly came home to roost? And season 3 is like, what if everything that you thought no one was seeing was not only being seen but used to control you? So all these different questions about how cognition works, how morality works, those are all interesting things.
It was asking some really interesting questions, especially season 1. I think season 1 was
very good.
Maybe because
it's a slow burn. I really enjoy season 2 personally, but yeah, it's a slow burn.
Really,
season
2 is like the least.
I kind of like season 2.
It had like
I like how it was. I like how we got to see a little bit more behind the curtain of certain things in season 2. I like how we got to see, who's actually in control, who has been in control unbeknownst to us, and how control is being taken from them. And then I like one thing I like about season 3. I mean, season 3 could have been a lot better. I think there's a lot of ways that they dropped the ball there, but it was interesting to really be fully immersed into the real world. And now, with season 4 having started, I think Westworld really getting back to its specific brand of storytelling, and I like what's happening there. With these philosophical questions, with what they're doing with specific characters representing certain themes. With the idea of agency, I think Better Call Saul has a different brand of asking these sorts of questions, but they make you wonder, like, how far is too far? If I could take a question and use that to identify Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, I'd say that question would be, how far is too far? And what do we do once we've gotten there?
Just keep on going, man. In for a penny, in for a pound.
Basically.
Anyway, I guess that's a brilliant way to wrap this up. Have you got any final thoughts on Better Call Saul season 6 episode 9? It's just...
Yeah, I wonder what will happen. I wonder if there's anything that's going to happen that will break the Saul facade and bring out Jimmy in a way that we didn't see in Breaking Bad. And because it's also making me wonder if there were certain moments of humanity that Saul had in Breaking Bad that were actually like little pieces of Jimmy that were just shining through. Even before that moment where he explains, like, listen, my name is actually Jimmy McGill. That one scene was actually so interesting because it's like the fourth wall was just broken and you could see just the curtain drop.
His curtain is down, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested in seeing all that.
Yeah, that's pretty... I guess because Gordon Gideon have said they want all resolutions, no ambiguity. So, I mean, they have a lot of... It's like, you know, sort of answering your question. There's also the Nebraska story of like, what the hell is happening there? We haven't even seen Nebraska in a while. So, and he's like, his cover has been busted. So what happens then? So, I mean, would we see some black and white scenes? You know, so I guess that's something to look forward to. But yeah, this was Better Call Saul Fun and Games. Thank you, Ebube, for coming through.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, as always.
Yeah, guys, don't forget to review, rate, subscribe, send us hate, send us love,
However
send us
you
everything. Slide in our DMs. Actually, don't send us hate. It's way too hot for hate right now.
It truly is. It truly is.
It's so hot, man. I was literally walking down the road the other day and I literally stopped and just poured water on my head. And everyone was just like, I understand.
Like, yeah, bro,
Give me that nod of like, I understand, man. I understand.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, this was Better Call Saul. We'll see you guys next week. We'll be joined by British actress Lily James. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Cannot wait for that.